Ethics with S. Ansari remains the best ever choice. Do you know that ethics paper is the only paper in general studies that pays more with less efforts? One can easily secure 130 to 140 marks. Lukman IAS is a well-established name since 2014 for ethics paper. We offer 3 types of courses: Ethics Foundation course, Ethics Case Studies, and Ethics Test Series. Since 2015, Lukman IAS students have maintained the records of securing the highest marks in this paper. So, why to wait? Contact us today for more information.
Hello everyone, my name is Kushal Jain. I have secured All India rank 40 in this year's Civil Services exam. I am here to share my strategy and journey with you guys so that it might be helpful for you as well. Before that, a little introduction about myself. I am from Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. I have done my schooling from here. After that, I went to college in RVC Bengaluru in Information Science and Engineering branch. I was recruited by Microsoft from there, and then I worked for 1.5 years. After that, I started preparing for civil services. This was my 4th attempt and 4th interview as well. Let's straight dive towards the prelims part. I was fortunate enough to clear prelims in all my 4 attempts, and I think there were few steps that I could break down for all of you, which would be helpful for you as well. I think the first part is the division of prelims into the static part as well as the paper solving part. In the static part, I think the common sources that you all might have known and are widely discussed by other toppers, so I'm not going into that, but those are the standard reference books that you have to follow. Along with it, if you want, you can also follow some YouTube sources like Mrunal for geography as well as for economy, and Pratik Nayak sir for modern history as well. I think, and the rest, all the standard books are same as told by other toppers. After doing the static part, I think the basic approach towards prelims that I used to follow was that I used to divide my entire syllabus into weekly timetable. So for that, you can take any coaching's module, any coaching's timetable that they follow for the entire year, and you can follow that. So suppose if you have 10 months or 1 year or even 8 months for prelims preparation, you should divide your timetable according to that weekly schedule. You have to follow this weekly schedule religiously, and after every weekly schedule, you have to take the same coachings. You can go to the market and take the sectional paper of theirs. So suppose I have completed 6 chapters of Lakshmikant today. So after completing 6 chapters of Lakshmikant, I would go and I would take their sectional test, which is based on these 6 papers only, these 6 chapters only. So I think in that sense, what will happen is, A, you have done your static part, and B, you have also applied those static part in the paper, and you have seen whether you are doing well or not. Once the test is done, you have to evaluate the test, and this has to be done very meticulously. So for this, the first thing you need to do is there would be only 3 types of questions that will be there in your test paper. The first ones are those in which you have known the static as well as your answer was also right. I think you could skip the reading part of theory of these questions because you have known the theory and you could reach the correct answer as well. The second questions would be those that you got to the right answer, but your theory was not very sound. I think you have to go back to your theory part and read these the theory part again, so as to not make the mistake or be more confident in the paper in the later stages. The third type of questions would be the ones that you didn't know the question, you didn't know the solution, and you couldn't reach the answer also. I think this is where your knowledge will get enhanced. So you have to do this for every paper very religiously. Once you've done this and once you are following your weekly timetable all along the process, your syllabus would get completed well within the time frame. I am assuming every coaching tries to finish the syllabus 1 or 2 months beforehand only. You don't have to attend the coaching, you just have to follow their timetable, and this is available free online. So I think you can definitely follow that. I used to follow that. After doing this, your sectional is ready as well as your static part is done. I think once you have done that, at the end, just before the prelims, you have to also solve the previous year question papers. So I keep in mind that my last 2 weeks or 3 weeks of prelims preparation is just solving previous year question papers as much as I can. What this will do is, this will help me get in touch with the kind of questions that UPSC asks, and also keep the answer key that UPSC only gives with you. So I think once you've done this, you are in tune and you are informed to again write the UPSC's question paper. Some mistakes that you must avoid are: first, not every science and tech answer would be D. Second, if there is none of the above, not most of the times that will not be the answer. And third, if there is some institution or anything given, try solving the paper logically and not go by any institute's logic, that if the institution, suppose UN or World Bank is given or any report is given, it has to be wrong or right. No, don't go with that preconceived notion. Go with the logic of the question. Now this is preparing the prelims part. The second part of solving prelims paper is the final day paper solution. So I think this has to be followed in 3 rounds approach. I used to do that. Now the first round would consist of 1 hour only. Now in this 1 hour, what you have to do is you have to go through the entire paper, the 100 questions, and maximum you should take is 1 hour 5 minutes. After this 1 hour, you have to read through the entire paper. You don't have to mark anything in your OMR at this round. So what will happen is, after the end of 1 hour 5 minutes in the exam hall, your questions would look like they would have one of the 4 marks. The first mark would be the question that you are pretty sure of the answer. The second mark would be the question that you are confused between 2 answers. The third mark of the question would be the questions that you think that you can solve but will take a little more time. So you are reserving these questions for the last, and the fourth mark would be the questions that you have no idea about the question or the solutions or the options. So one of these 4 marks should be there in front of every question after the end of 1 hour 5 minutes. Now after 1 hour 5 minutes, now this is the second round you're entering. In this round, you have to mark your OMR sheets as well. Once you finish the first round of your problem solving, you move to the second round. Now in this round, this comes where you are going to fill the OMR sheet as well. Now filling the OMR sheet needs to be done very carefully, because that is the ultimate thing that is going to go in front of the OMR machine checking. Okay? So in the first category of questions that you were very sure about the answer, just give 5 to 6 seconds and reread the question so that any silly mistakes can be avoided. Suppose they're asking the incorrect question, suppose they're asking not in the statement, or any other thing that you might have missed. So these 5 to 6 seconds will give you will avoid any silly mistake in that, and keep marking in the OMR in the second round. So complete such questions. In this the second category of questions in which you were doubtful between 2 options. Now whenever I feel that I'm doubtful between 2 options, I follow this simple strategy that more often than not helps me reach the answer. What I try to do is I try to go from the option reverse to the question. So there are 2 options, right, in which you are confused. Try to form a question from the option, and whichever option is helping you form the question to the most closest approximity, I think that is more often than not that option is the correct one. So try practicing that. Please don't do this directly in the exam. Try practicing it in your question paper so that you master this technique. I'll repeat the technique again. You just have to engineer. So suppose you are confused between option B and C. Try reaching the question from option B. If you can, then more often than not option B is correct. And if you can reach it via C, then more often than not C is correct. So this is how you attempt the questions in which you have doubt between 2 parts, right? And you keep filling this in OMR. The third category of question and fourth category of question are remaining. And now you will have hardly 10 to 15 minutes remaining, right? Now go for these questions in which you think that you have conceptual clarity, but you have left it in the third category, which was that it will require time to think. So if I can give an example, last time there was a question which had something around that 4 rivers are merging into 1 river, and it was in an Indus tributary question, right? So if you should keep that in the third category of question, because this question you know, but it will take time. So this devote your 10 minute out of the 15 minute in solving these kind of questions. Try solving at least 50% of these questions. Now you have 5 minutes remaining, and you will be left with around 10 questions which you had no idea about the question or the answer as well. Now check how many questions are remaining. Suppose you have only marked 75 questions, then you will have to take risk in these questions, right? And if you have marked around 85 to 90 questions, then you can easily leave these questions, because anyway you have no answer, no idea about the answer or the question, right? So you try leaving these questions, but if you have to mark, don't mark more than 2-3 out of these, because more often than not they will get negative. Now the ideal number that you should mark in prelims, I think, is somewhere around 83 to 88 questions. You can go till 92 based on that day and the difficulty level of the paper, right? Now how to do this? You have to practice more and more. So as many papers as you practice, I always used to take my target initially as I will solve 70 new papers and I will revise those papers later. So in total, I would have solved 140 papers before going to the prelims exam. Now how to find these 70 papers? You can easily take any 2 test series that are freely available in the market and solve these. Try selecting all the good coaching institutes test series so that you have a standardized question bank as well as the solution key. So you have to solve these 2 test series, which will, one has around 35 questions, 35 papers, so that is 70 papers, and try revising these papers as well. So when you revise, obviously you will not take much time, but you will have these core concepts revised, and you will always remember the answers, so that time will also be saved in the final day, as well as you will be more confident in marking the answers. Now the second part of the prelims is the CSAT paper. Being an engineer, I personally didn't require much practice in CSAT, but CSAT is getting tougher day by day, so it cannot be ignored. I have met many aspirants who text me continuously saying that their GS score is way above the cutoff, but their CSAT is not getting cleared, and that is why their 1 year gets wasted, right? So if you think that, first of all, there is, please don't keep any ego in CSAT, because it's okay if you don't know it, because it will be very humiliating for yourself if you think that your GS is getting cleared but CSAT is not getting cleared. So for that, my simple tip is practice more and more questions, but don't go for any standard books to practice. Just do the previous year UPSC's question papers. If you normally Google, there are solutions available for UPSC's previous year question papers for CSAT. Just do that, practice that, and you can divide it into categories, and then you can do that. Or if you want to do paper by paper, you can follow that. Attempting CSAT paper is another thing that I would want to focus on. What you do is, you take the first hour of the paper, or 1 hour 15 minutes should be devoted to maths. Why I do this? And this is a thumb rule, please follow this. Why I do this? Because maths requires application of mind, right? And if you're panicking, suppose you do English first in 1 hour, and if you have many questions left in maths and there's less time remaining, then you'll start panicking. Once you start panicking, then your formulas or your logics will get crippled, right? And you will not be able to reach the final answer. So I think you have to attempt maths first. Why I'm also saying that is because maths will give you certain marks, right? Because an answer has to be right answer if you are reaching to that answer, and no UPSC or coaching key can differ from it. But in English, there can be high subjectivity, because maybe your English is good, but the examiner or UPSC's setter might think that some other answer is true, because most of the English answers are the inference based questions, right? So I think go for maths first, try solving it in 1 hour or 1 hour 10 minutes, and then try to solve the English part. In English part, you can also do this, that once you read the passage quickly, you can also read the answers and again try that reverse engineering, that from options try to reach the question. Whichever is the closest, I think that is more often than not the correct answer. So I think this is the prelims part of the test, prelims part of the UPSC, right? The second phase of UPSC is the mains part. Now for mains, I have one very simple strategy which I used to follow, and I have fortunately cleared all my mains as well. That strategy would be, you take the syllabus from UPSC, GS 1, 2, 3. It is more applicable on these. Essay and ethics we'll discuss later. So 1, 2 and 3, what you do is, you open your Microsoft Word document and you copy paste the syllabus. So for GS1, make one file, for 2 and 3 similarly. Now what you do is, you will see that there are 20 subparts in the UPSC's syllabus that is given. Now these subparts are your sources that you have to refer for preparing mains. What you do is, you go back to the previous year questions of mains, and what you do in every, so suppose I'm doing GS1, right? So in GS1, what I'll do is, I'll read the question paper of 2020, 19, 18 and so on. What I'll do is, suppose I'm taking UPSC 2020's GS1 mains test paper, mains final paper, right? I'll read the question number 1 and I'll see in which subpart of the syllabus this question has come from, and I'll copy paste that question under that subpart in my Word document. I'll do this for all the 20 questions. So I'll see now what this will benefit is, the first benefit that I'll get out of this is that I'll always know that which subpart focuses on what areas. So if you see in GS3, you will always find that cyber security is asked from internal security subpart. So you'll prepare cyber security better, right? So by doing this, you'll yourself realize which parts are getting repeatedly asked in UPSC, because previous year questions are getting re-asked again. You will see this, you'll feel for yourself, and you'll also see some patterns which I think will be helpful in your preparation part. So do this for every paper. So once you have done this for GS1 2020 paper, go for 2019 paper, 2018 till at least 2013, 2014 year, right? Do this for those papers, then you'll have a good question bank of paper of the questions that are asked by UPSC, and this is also divided based on the subparts. Now you have the subparts and you have the questions that are coming. Focus on these questions, understand what is being asked in the UPSC, right? Then you start preparing these subparts. So what you do is go back to your prelim static portion and see what kind of questions are getting asked in the mains, and prepare 3 to 4 pages of notes for every subpart. So for 20 subparts in GS 1, 2 and 3, you will have around 80 pages, not more than that. In these 80 pages, there would be some 1 or 2 facts that you remember about that subpart, 1 or 2 charts, 1 or 2 flow diagrams that is there. Keep these very handy in these 3 to 4 pages under every subpart. Once you do that, you will realize that these things that you are mentioning in your 3 to 4 pages are getting replicated in your answers as well. Otherwise, what will happen is you will read a lot about everything, but you will not be able to replicate in the final paper. So what you do is you do this strategy of preparing under subparts, then dividing the questions based on those subparts, and then studying from static portions, but strictly under that subpart. You write 3 to 4 pages. Now this is the preparation of that paper GS1. Now comes the paper solving part. So what you do is, suppose again, as I said, you bring any sectional test series from the market from any coaching institute that you feel comfortable with. Suppose now you have prepared GS1, 6 subparts you have prepared, right? So then once you have prepared those 6 subparts, you take out the sectional paper that covers those 6 subparts. Now what you do, you don't have to currently jump into writing 3 hours paper in the exam setting hall. No, you don't have to do that. Currently you are just preparing how to write answers, right? So what you do, you open that sectional test of those 6 subparts. You read the first question. You question yourselves that what I would have written in the introduction. Just scribble the introduction part. Don't write it in the time limit or anything. Just scribble the introduction. Scribble all the points that you think are important, and scribble the conclusion. Also scribble any diagram or any facts that you would have written. Once you've scribbled that, then read the solution. Now it will do 2 things to you. The first thing it will do is you will always know that your understanding of question was correct or not, because what you have written the points, if they were correct, they will also be part of the model solution, the solution that you're reading, right? So one thing that will happen is you will always know that ठीक है, मैंने सही attempt किया है. I've understood the question. I've hit the soul of the question. The second thing is, if there is any knowledge deficit, you will understand and you will update your knowledge base on that question. If there is any fact that you find or any diagram that you find in the model answer, please note it down in your 3 to 4 pages under that subhead, right? You do this for the entire paper. So now you have solved 20 questions also for those 6 subheads. Now do this for 2 or 3 subheads. So then you will have your 20 subheads prepared for GS1. Suppose you have to do this similarly for 2 and 3. Once you have prepared your GS1 like this, and you have also brainstormed the sectional paper, then you go for the full length paper. So for example, I used to always write one full length paper every 4 to 5 days. Every day I'm doing the subpart thing and the sectional thing, and after 4 to 5 days I used to write the full length paper. This is to be done in an exam hall setting. What will this help you in? First, you will practice your paper in that exam hall setting, and second, you will have good points to mention. You will also practice all the facts that you've written in your 3 to 4 pages. So this is how a comprehensive preparation of GS 1, 2 and 3 needs to be done. I think once you've done that, and once you've done this sectional parts as well as the full length part, you'll be good to go for the mains part of GS 1, 2 and 3. For ethics, there is a very simple strategy. What you do is, you take out all the keywords from the syllabus. There are hardly 30 keywords from the syllabus in ethics. You again take 2 pages. In that 2 pages for every keyword. In that 2 pages, you have to follow these 3 to 4 things. The first thing is the definition of the keyword. Follow any standard textbook. I used to follow Vajiram's yellow textbook, or you can also follow Sleepy classes, online classes for ethics. I think this will help you prepare the preparation and understanding of the keyword part. So in your 2 to 3 pages of that keyword, first thing will be the definition of the keyword. The second thing would be any examples. So examples I used to divide in 3 parts. The first part would be an administrative example. The second part would have been any personal example, but make sure that your personal example must be understood by the examiner, and it should not be so personal that there should be no relation only. So use general type of personal examples. And the third part would be the mythological examples that you can use from any spiritual, any mythological sources if you find. So first, in your short notes, there is the keywords definition, these 3 type of examples. The third thing that needs to be there in your one or two pages for this keyword is any diagram that you can draw on the final day. So suppose you can draw Venn diagrams, you can draw pie charts, you can draw anything. So this is how you prepare ethics. So at the end, you'll have 30 keywords and 2 to 3 pages for every keyword. This is the 60 pages notes for ethics. Then again, you have to practice as many paper in ethics as you can follow. And please join a test series for ethics, because it is so subjective that you might get lost. So join a test series for this as well. For essay part, if you notice, essays are getting philosophical day by day, right? So preparing essays requires innovation, and because UPSC gives time for the essay paper, you will have ample amount of time, and you will not fall short of the time in the final paper. For GS papers, you will have time constraint, but for essay paper, you will have time to think. Devote your time in first choosing the right topic, and second making a structure out of that right topic. There's a standard practice for making structure. This might not fall true for any philosophical topic.
Ethics with S. Ansari remains the best ever choice. Do you know that ethics paper is the only paper in general studies that pays more with less efforts? One can easily secure 130 to 140 marks. Lukman IAS is a well-established name since 2014 for ethics paper. We offer 3 types of courses: Ethics Foundation course, Ethics Case Studies, and Ethics Test Series. Since 2015, Lukman IAS students have maintained the records of securing the highest marks in this paper. So, why to wait? Contact us today for more information.
So suppose there was this topic in the last means that I wrote. Self-discovery has been technologically outsourced, if I am correct. So in this, your political, social, economic dimension will not be divided. So what you have to do, you have to think there. Be ready to think in wildest of your imaginations for the essay paper. So first topic in essay that you're choosing, choose something similar in which you can think, right? And in the second topic, I chose there are better practices to best practices. Now in this topic, even though it is philosophical, it can be divided into political, socio-economic and any other aspects like that. So try dividing this, because it will make your essay easier and it will make you not lose the topic, the grip of the topic, right? For preparing of essay, I used to do this. The Yojana magazine, you don't have to read the entire magazine, you just have to take the first page of every magazine. So for 12 months, you'll have 12 pages of the magazine, right? This first page of the magazine is the editor's note, in which the honorable editor has summarized the entire magazine into 4 or 5 paragraphs. What it will do is, it will help you understand how to write a good summary in paragraph format and in a good flowing structure. So these 12 pages, if you read, you'll have first, you'll have 12 different themes to address to, and you will have a good knowledge bank. And whenever you study GS, you are anyway preparing for essay as well. In essay also, I used to write this anecdote. So what is anecdote? Anecdotes are short stories. So you have to prepare. You can take themes. Women can be a theme, digital empowerment can be a theme, education can be a theme, health, primary education, everything. So there's a standard 12 to 15 themes that are there for essay. You have to write in your practice only. You have to write small stories related to every theme. So what it will do is, first it will reduce the time that you will take to think in the final exam, right? So suppose there's a question on women. I always used to follow this. In any essay of women, in my first half or one page, I used to try to introduce a girl child or women from tribal northeast region, and I used to empower her somehow in my story. And after mentioning her in the anecdote part, which should not exceed more than half or one page, I used to again refer back to her twice or thrice in my essay. So suppose I have mentioned that Lakshmi is a tribal girl from Nagaland, and suppose digital education has empowered her in accessing good resources, and now she has qualified whichever exam she is appearing in. Suppose I mentioned this in the anecdote, then the following para would have been: the above anecdote shows how Lakshmi and other girls can be empowered through the use of technologies, one or two liner, and then you start your essay. And then if you have to mention somewhere in the conclusion or anything that by doing such steps, many people like Lakshmi can be empowered, suppose. So then this will make your essay a lot more innovative, unique, and it will fetch you better marks than any other person. So this is the essay preparation. Now after this, there comes the interview part. Interview, I think, is as extensive the preparation as the mains part. What you do is, you have to, once you're preparing your DAF, first consult many people while preparing your DAF, many experts who have appeared in the interview, so as to know that what needs to be included in the DAF and what needs to be left out. Once you've prepared that, take the keywords out of your DAF and write these keywords. You have to prepare extensively on these keywords. So what you do is, suppose there's a keyword, your district, suppose I am from Jabalpur. Now this is a keyword in my DAF. So I will try to brainstorm all the questions that I can find on Jabalpur. That what is the history about it, what is the geography, everything that you'll find in a question bank. So I used to write down, and I can also ask my friends as well as my seniors to help me in finding such question bank. Once this question bank is found, and then I have to write down the answers of every question. What it will benefit me in: first, it will help me memorize the facts better because I've written it down, and second, it will help me structure my answer better on the final day. Otherwise, because everybody is nervous on the final day of interview, you might mess up the structure, as well as you might not prioritize the points correctly. So what you have to do, you have to take out keywords from the DAF, and you have to brainstorm all the questions that are possible, and then you have to write down the answers, and you have to meticulously keep revising them. Especially HR questions, please write down the answers. Otherwise, every time I ask you the similar question, suppose why did you leave your job for joining UPSC? Now this can have 100 dimensions and 100 answers. Please ask yourself, why did you leave the job? Write it down, get it checked by one or two seniors so that it is diplomatically a correct answer, and then revise it so that you don't have to think on the final day and you can easily tackle such questions. Now this is one part of the preparation. Now suppose if nothing is asked from your DAF in the interview, so what you have to do is, you have to just follow the constitutional principles. You don't have to go beyond the constitution and answering any answer. Every answer should be diplomatically correct. It should be a balanced answer. It should not have any bias in it, and it should be adhering to the constitutional principles, right? So if you follow these strategies, I think your interview is also sorted. Now this is the strategy part of your how you deal with UPSC. Now the last part that I want to put forward to all the aspirants is, don't lose hope. I have appeared in interview in all my stages and I couldn't crack this. I couldn't get a final rank, and more often than not, the prelims paper was 10 to 20 days away from my final result day. So if I would have lost hope, I would have either skipped prelims or I would have failed prelims. But one thing that I always used to follow was that every topper that I used to listen to has gone through this journey. This is part of the process. Struggle is part of the process of cracking this exam because competition is intense. So if you're struggling, if you're failing in any attempt, try analyze where you're going wrong. If you analyze and if you ask your seniors or people who have cleared it, they will definitely help you in what is going wrong and keep improving on that. Be very, follow a very analytical and very rational approach in analyzing what you have to improve in. So if I give my personal example, I was not scoring very well in my optional papers. I was scoring well in GS, scoring well in essay as well as my interview, but my sociology, that was my optional, it was not really fetching me as good as marks to get into a top 50 or 100 rank or to get the IAS, right? So what I did was, I re-engineered everything. I went back to zero after my third attempt. I realized that sociology needs to be redone. I consulted my seniors. I also used to follow this for sociology, that I saw Delhi Knowledge Track's video on Jagrati Avasthi ma'am, strategy on sociology. I took out all her answer copies that were available on the internet. I used to read the sociology question and then I used to write my answer. And then I used to read her answers as well. So if her answer was the most ideal one and my answer was somewhere not up to the mark, every day I used to write answers and then check her answers, so that the distance between her answer and my answer kept reducing every day. And what I also did was, everybody knows the theory in the optional subject, right? What you do is you make 2 to 3 pages notes on every topic on your optional syllabus, right? So on the final day, all the best points will come out in your paper. Otherwise, you will know the theory, but you will not be able to replicate that theory in the answer format to the examiner. And this might cost you badly in the final day. So make 2 to 3 pages notes on every topic in the point format, and then follow any topper that you think. Take out their copies from internet in the optional, and write the answers and then match the answers with the toppers. So this will help you fine tune your optional preparation as well. I did this and it has fetched me good marks this time, and I was able to crack such a good rank. So I think if you follow this, and if you don't lose hope, and if you keep following the struggles as well as the success of the toppers that you want to follow, I think you will also get the success in this exam, and I wish you all the best.